Hello, Internet. Welcome to Two and a Half Brains. This is the latest discussion of The Amazing Race Season 33, Episode 7. Breaking it all down here and discussing it as we always do. I'm your host, Yo Grabba Gabba. Exactly. And here's my co-host, Jessica. Jessica, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, I'm dandy. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. So let's go ahead. The episode just aired here a minute ago, so we're going to try to talk all about it and give you our thoughts. Shouldn't be too long. Here was the episode that was it was definitely predictable. It's been a fairly predictable season. But there's been some things that are like, ooh, will they, won't they type of things. Will they make it, will they not make it, But overall, it's been pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah.
Power rankings don't change a whole lot. This one's a little bit, maybe might change a little bit this time, but overall, it's been pretty,
I think it's the exact same thing
well,
we've been doing, so.
right, but thanks for spoiling that. But we'll what I mean by that is there's a little bit more to talk about. It's probably the same order, but it's a little bit different reasons.
Right.
And we'll get to that here. So
Mean.
jump to the end. Let's jump right to the end. No.
Ever. Ever. You do this by yourself. I'll go to bed. I'll go merge my dragons.
Be sure to subscribe to us. Anything you like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pavement Road Productions. You can email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. You can, like I said, share the post with your friends and like our Facebook page and interact with us there. So let's just go ahead and start with this episode here. Start from the top and start with some initial thoughts, Jessica.
No, you're mean. I can't say nothing, so. Right?
No, you can say everything. I want you to speak.
Oh, yeah. Speak. What am I, dog?
No.
Not a happy dog right now either.
Happy dog. She's a happy dog. Oh, look at that happy dog. You happy dog. No copyright.
Yeah, exactly. So, initial thoughts. Gross.
Yeah?
Yeah. I love cheese, but I don't think I want cheese for a couple days.
What were you doing? What were they doing? What were they doing there? What were they?
Huh?
What were they munching on?
They were munching on the cha-cha-cha-cha cheese. A little vino and a cha-cha-cha-cha cheese.
There might have been a video at the end. At the end of the.
Yeah, there definitely was.
Okay.
So that reference, only people that are 30 and older would probably understand that reference. And if you get that, you're awesome. All I'm going to say is Pauly Shore and back in the 90s. So funny.
Okay.
Steven Tyler PJs. Rustic wear. We're getting way off topic.
Anyways, so, cheese. What was that? What
I'm
happened?
mingling. So the cheese, they had to eat maggot cheese. That looked awful. It was hilarious because the guy that was serving the cheese was having probably a heck of a time laughing at everybody because he was telling Kim the maggots, no, it wasn't Kim, it was Lulu or Lala, the maggots just jumped down into your stomach. The funniest part was Kim was asking him questions about it, like, are they just cut up maggots? Like, are they whole worms in there? And then Penn was plugging his ears and then gagging. He's like, why are you asking these questions?
And the guy said yes.
Yeah, I know. And it was just funny. It was hilarious, but I could never. I mean, if for $1 million I could, but I wouldn't enjoy that cheese.
Yeah, it was our gross food eating challenge, and also, it was they basically took a piece of bread, like a little piece of a roll, and put the cheese on it, and then they ate that.
The problem was it wasn't a little piece of roll; it was a giant piece of bread, like probably a baguette. And then they put a hunk of cheese on there after running without water or anything.
Well,
though.
that's
Like
the
you
hardest
had to
part too,
dry down it. Like Arun did it the smart way and just took the cheese and just shoved it in his mouth and then would bite the bread after. Like doing that with no water was probably the most difficult part of the whole thing. But the maggots maybe more so than that. But then the whole dryness of it. But yeah, gross.
And the dryness doesn't help it go down either. Like you said, if you're
Well, no.
I mean, that's if you're gonna eat something disgusting, you want to have liquid and not be dry.
I'd imagine they'd have water nearby, like if someone starts choking on the bread or something like that to help get it down.
Yeah.
But yuck. No, thank you. No, thank you. I pass on that.
So obviously they had to drive themselves in these really nice cars,
I want one of those
convertible,
cars.
right? Nice,
Yeah, it was
nice,
very
sweet.
pretty.
What was it called again?
It was I thought it was like T-Rock or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. So it was a really neat car, and then it was all self-driving this episode, and then obviously running.
Yeah, I don't think they were stick shifts though, because no one struggled that hard. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that's the initial thoughts. Anything else? You want to move on to the detour?
No. I mean, everybody in the order that they got there, they all ate the cheese and got out on their merry way. But no, probably nothing else.
Yeah, it was very much a lot of the leg was like, pretty much everybody who got there left there in the same order, pretty much.
Almost, except that Raquel and Kayla ran ahead of Kim and Penn, and they were not happy about it.
Yeah,
because they missed Kim and Penn missed a turn, but they didn't wait for them, so there's a little rift.
Yeah, they followed Kim Penn there, then they got there, and Kim Penn went a little too far, and the Kayla and Raquel got in first, and then they got out first, and they did wait for them.
After that, yeah. So then Penn liked them again.
Yeah, so he said
I definitely identify with Penn.
Yeah, for sure. And then they I guess Raquel and they were gonna go to the other detour, and they decided to just go with Kim and Penn because they were
and work together
waiting with them at least.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Detour decision.
yes.
So row your boat or gently down the stream.
Yes. What were the options, Jessica?
So row your boat. You get a kayak. You look at pictures of fish that they have there, and you pick out whatever color fish you want, and you row your kayak gently down the marina, and you grab the fish off of the metal chains that are connected to buoys. You have to get 10 of them, and then bring them back to the fishermen.
Yep. And what was gently down the stream?
Gently down the stream, there is a boat that runs. It takes 15 minutes.
Hmm.
There are 10 fish that are in the water that you have to memorize the order, and then you basically pick them out on a piece of paper and show it to the deep sea diver to make sure that you have it in the right order, basically.
Yep. And you obviously there's like basically strips of paper that you had to find. They had all different combinations of fish. You had to find the ones that you saw in the right order. Mm-hmm. And it's like I said, 15 minutes. They had to go basically to a boat that was like a bottom. You go like the bottom of the boat and look at all the different fish in the water. And some teams did it well, how they memorized it. Other teams not so much. Which one would you have done?
I mean, after watching it, I feel like the gently down the stream would be easier, because the row your boat, like, those guys sank in that canoe or in that kayak right into the water, and they said it was really heavy to pick the fish up to begin with. So like finding them would be fine, but I feel like I would have tipped over a million times because that kayak just didn't look very sturdy.
Well, and it's a clear bottom on purpose, so you can see see what's in the water.
Right, but they didn't do it that way. They just picked every single one up.
Yeah.
So, I think working together with another team for the gently down the stream was definitely the way to go with it. But I think doing that one might be the easier way, as long as you can, I guess, memorize everything.
Yes.
Like, when Holderness and then Kayla and Raquel worked together, they all memorized the fish, but they had names for them, and then they memorized the order for the name of like what they looked like and everything, and they were able to get it on their first try. So
yeah, no, I agree. I think if I'm by myself, and there's no one else we can work with, the rowing one might be easier, but it's definitely a physical one that's gonna kick your ass for sure.
It is. I feel like the rowing part of it isn't the bad part. Like I said, just picking it up and getting them into the boat. And it's not steady. Like that kayak was not made to be something like that.
Right, and I think, the good news is it's all in a pretty short area. It's not like you're searching the entire ocean to find these things. It seems like a pretty contained area where you were looking for it. That being said, if you have another team that you can work with, you can, like you said, both the teams who did that one had two teams going at the same time. So they could be like, how they end up doing it. You memorize the 5 on that side, I'll memorize 5 on that side, and we'll compare notes. You couldn't take notes. We'll compare what we have, help each other memorize, and help each other out and do that. And Holderness and the flight attendants together got it on the first try, whereas that's not what Arun and Natalia and Lulu and Lala didn't do that. They just kind of like all trying to memorize all 10, and it just didn't. They got most of them, but it was just a little bit off, and then they had to go back and do it again. That really cost them time.
They only messed up 2 in that order.
Yeah.
And I think, I know they're on opposite sides of the boat, but I thought the way that they were doing it is everybody is memorizing, like, you memorize 2 and then the next 2 get memorized. I feel like that way would have been easier, because unless you're doing every other between the person, I would say memorize, like, okay, so the first one I think was the same on every card, and the last one was the same on every card, so they didn't change. So basically, like, number 1 and number 2, one person memorized, and then number 3 and number 4, the next person, 4, 5, 6, 6, and then 7, 8. And then, as long as you are memorizing your order of your 2 fish, that would have been easy as pie.
Yeah, and I think the good thing is, too, is, like, they kind of, like, alternating sides, too. So, like, if 2 are on one side, 2 are on the other side, it's like, all right, I'll memorize the first one, you memorize the third one, I'll memorize the 5th one, you memorize the 7th one, and you can kind of go from there.
Yeah.
And we'll both memorize the 9th one, however you want to do it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think, and then obviously once the last 2 teams came back, Ryan and Dusty were just finishing up anyways.
Right, because
they
sank.
Because they sank and the boat tipped over a couple times and everything. So it took them a little bit longer, but it even doing it. So if they would have done it on their first try, Ryan and Dusty probably would have got knocked out.
Yeah.
But it took them a little bit longer to do it, and that kind of cost them.
Right.
And that's also kind of part of the problem of doing it with another team, having another team with you throughout the leg. You don't have the urgency necessarily, because you're like, well, I know that at least one team's with me. If I think I can beat them, then great. But if you're by yourself, you kind of have to just go, because you don't know. You could be first, you could be last. You really don't know.
Right.
So.
It was easy for them to gauge it, because they were the only 3 teams at that point.
Right.
They knew that the other ones were ahead of them.
And they left together and that too. So.
Right.
In any event, I am interested to see how they're gonna do the next time. Do the starting point.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that after. So I do think too that I think if it was just me and I'm with just me and my partner, I think I might do the kayaking one. But I said if we have another person, that way I can another team that we can work with, it makes 100% sense to do the other one, to do the gently down the stream one. And again, it's if you mess up, you're hurting yourself, because you have to go another whole at least 15 minutes. If not, if the boat's there. If the boat's not there, then it's even longer than that.
Right.
To do to do the challenge again. So, it could be very time consuming, but again, it's one of the things I usually try to do the physical ones if I can, but this one, it
really
depends.
Depends on the physical. Like, I can row easily, but the part that looked the hardest, that they had said that was the hardest, is actually pulling the fish up onto the boat.
And it's not like it's
and balance.
And it's not like you have it's not like it's a crazy physical challenge. I mean, it's not like some challenges will be easier to do physically, and other ones, I basically what I like to say is I like to take all the variants out of the challenges and just kind of do something that depends just on my ability.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I thought the physical thing would come in better with the rowing, but it also doesn't necessarily mean that, because, like you said, it's so physical, it's so, it's so draining that, all you have to do, like, it's not like the other one is I don't like the ones we have a learning curve. I like one challenges that I can just do, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't like there was necessarily a learning curve, it was just memorization.
I mean, there's outside factors to the, the boat, the rowing one, because, like I said, the kayaks were not made for what they needed to do.
Yeah.
I know they're clear so you can see under, but I would have probably did the same thing if I were to do it and just pick each one up and just look at it, because he said the water was clear, but everybody on the boat said that it was murky when they were trying to look for the fish.
Yeah.
And of course, they got close to the fish, so you were going to see them anyways. But, I would be fine with the boat one if it was a better kayak and it didn't, like, any kayak you're leaning over, you're going to tip over. That one just had absolutely no weight to it.
Yeah.
That, you were screwed. Like, I think anybody that did it was going to sink at one point.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt. So, and as I said, in the clear part, you couldn't really see down all the bottom anyways, even if you're looking through the clear and there was enough space. So,
yeah.
Anyways, so I don't know. I depends on depends on what I would. I really don't know which one I would have done, but I can definitely see the benefit for both, for sure. So after they get done with that, what was next?
The roadblock, all knotted up.
Yeah, what was that all about?
So they had a fishing net, and each fishing net had a hole in it. They had to take string to repair the hole in the net by watching, someone doing the demonstration, and basically it was taking the hole and connecting it to make another square in the fishing net to repair it.
Right. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. Easier said than done, for sure. But,
yeah, because he didn't slow down to show them how to do it. He just kept doing it, and you just had to watch.
And didn't answer questions or anything.
Well, right. I don't think any of them do, though, when you're watching people, so that's not different. But something like that is hard, and the string is small, and if you don't know how to start a knot in there anyways, like, I don't know. Because, they're judging it, but how close are they judging it? At first they'll say, oh, good, and then they just started saying, no, it's okay. It's okay. It works, basically.
Yeah, I mean...
It's hard. I mean, that's a skill. That's a skill to have, to do that, and I don't think everybody is able to do that stuff.
Yeah, they didn't immediately go drop it in the water and catch fish with it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it was, the hole was prepared, but was it useful? I don't know.
I mean, my dad taught me how to tie knots, so I would be perfect for that roadblock.
You sound like Kayla.
I almost had a fit when she started talking. My mom is a seamstress. I don't want to embarrass her. Okay, yeah, that's good. You don't want to embarrass her. Don't say, my mom's a seamstress, so I should definitely know how to do this.
Through osmosis. Yeah, I mean, it's like even if I don't want to embarrass her. Well, you're not her, so why would you be embarrassed? Like, it's like,
did Lulu do it? And they're like, yeah, my dad's a fisherman. I used to go on boats and stuff.
Yeah.
Thank God. I'm glad he didn't say anything about, I should be fine to do this. It's like, please don't.
Right.
I haven't fished since before I can probably remember.
Yeah.
I can't repair a net.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Okay. I've used nets. Doesn't mean I can repair the net.
Right. It's completely different, right? And the funny thing is, like I said, the whole Kayla thing, she was like, oh yeah, my mom's, I don't want to embarrass her. Well, it's like, if you were the person who was a professional seamstress and you're messing up, that would be embarrassing. But not,
right.
Well, my it's like my parent was my father was a sharpshooter in the Army, so I better know how to shoot a freaking, well, did he teach? Like, what's, I mean, like, if you, just because your parent does something doesn't mean that you can automatically do it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that can get a whole other thing, because with that situation, that example, I get that. I wouldn't want to embarrass, but yeah, if you've never been taught how to do it, then cat.
Then ha
Oh, the cat is at it again. But yeah, I hear what she said. I'm just glad she didn't say, oh, I could definitely do this because my mom, is a seamstress.
Yeah. I learned it through just osmosis.
Watching.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and even being a seamstress is not the same as repairing a net.
No.
Your mom, I don't think, would have been able to do this.
Right.
Seamstresses don't just tie knots like that.
Right.
This is a different skill.
Yeah.
But anyways.
But yeah, so that's that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
stop it.
Let's go on to the end there. So as we get close to the end, the placement order was Penn and Kim again.
Yep. Holderness.
They won for the second leg in a row.
Yep.
And then second place again in a row.
Kayla
was
and Raquel.
Kayla and Raquel.
Uh-huh.
Third place for the second week in a row.
Ryan and Dusty.
Yeah. There was a ton of traveling. I mean, obviously they had to go down the coast a little bit.
It was all pretty easy and straightforward.
Right. It wasn't a lot of time to get lost.
Right. And like I said, the cars were all automatic, so
Yeah.
there was no struggle.
Yeah, and they said it's not like they had to drive for hours or get on a plane or whatever.
Right.
It was pretty much just down the coast.
Right.
So to get to the next part of the race.
Yep.
To the next leg or whatever. And then it came down to it where Natalia and Arun and then Lulu and Lala were kind of there, and it looked like Lulu and Lala kind of took a wrong turn or they got
looked
passed.
like they walked past the pharmacy part. But
Well,
they
that was
didn't.
I'm talking about before that when they got to the roadblock because didn't they get to the roadblock first? Didn't Natalia them get there first? I feel like they must have left first then. I feel like Natalia and Arun left the detour first then. Either way, because I feel like they had a little bit of a lead on Lulu and Lala. Lulu and Lala, I feel like got to the roadblock last.
No, Lulu and Lala showed the fish thing first and left first.
Okay, I don't know. I felt like they got passed somewhere on the road or something. But because I think they did. I think they got passed on the road. No.
They all followed each other because Ryan and Dusty left, and then Lulu and Lala right behind them, and then Arun and Natalia caught up to them, and they all followed each other to the next part.
Okay.
And then from there, everybody just kind of followed each other again.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like for some reason they got it was like a fluctuation on who was first, who was fourth, who was
maybe Natalia got to the net part first.
Maybe.
It was, it wasn't that much of a difference.
Gotcha. That's might have been what I'm thinking then. Yeah.
Yeah, she pulled hers out first, but besides that, it was
That's what it was. Yep.
Yeah.
So she got started a little bit sooner, but
Right.
took her a little bit longer to complete it.
Right.
Lulu and Lala passed them, and then it was a matter of literally running to the pit stop, and it was a long run, uphill track and everything like that. And what happened?
In the snow.
Yeah, exactly, both ways.
So what happened was the fourth place team was Lulu and Lala.
Yep, and they looked like you said. Looked like they took a wrong turn when they were running, but they didn't.
Yeah, the way that they showed it, because they kept going back and forth between the teams because they had to add that element of, what's going to happen into the thing when it was pretty much straightforward. And they all went up the hill. Lulu or Lala said they don't know who Napoleon looks like or what Napoleon looks like, which was funny.
Yeah, there was a person dressed as Napoleon giving them the hint of where to go.
Right, to telling them where to go. But they were fourth, and then the last team was Arun and Natalia.
Yes.
However, ...
As Jessica predicted correctly this week, the water in Flint, Michigan, gives you extra superpowers because you can be last 3 times, and still not go out.
Yes, this was a non-elimination because almost every time I hear him say may be eliminated, it's usually a non-elimination. So, no, they got saved.
Again.
One more time.
Yep, so they were last, they got eliminated, and then they were last, didn't get eliminated, then last, didn't get eliminated.
Yeah.
So it's the third time being last. But they picked the right time to be last every time.
They definitely did, yeah. I mean, that's going to run out soon, and it's going to be probably one of the last 2 teams that were there today. It's probably going to be them again, because once they're in that grouping, they haven't made it to get out of that grouping.
They were strong enough to maybe survive a spot, but yeah.
And this I don't feel like was super difficult. Some of the stuff maybe. The last thing was probably difficult, but this just seemed like not many teams struggled with much, so it was straightforward.
No, completely. And they said, I mean, the way they started is the way they finished. So
Right.
that's definitely true. So what did they do wrong, and how'd they almost lose?
I don't know if working together is something they did wrong, but it's something to keep in mind for the next things, because you're not going to get lucky probably the next step, next round.
Yeah.
That you can work with someone, and then you have to try and figure out how to overtake them once you're working with them.
Yeah.
They're not great with direction, even though, the startup of all of this hasn't really been that, but in the past it was. They struggle with direction and getting lost. But I guess, I think a struggle with most is attention to detail.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you enjoy that, dear?
Yeah, so the cat was trying to bite me, so I kind of got her off me, and she fell right on the dog, and the dog's like, "Get off on me!"
Yeah, he goes at her sometimes.
Yeah, because he was trying to sleep, and she landed right on his ass,
Yeah.
and he's like, "I'm not doing
Be
this."
nice, Buzz.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean that's true, and I think the thing with them, like you said, working together is great because you know you have another team there, but
Final five, you can't work together much anymore.
right, and also you know you can maybe beat them, maybe you can't, but you're like I cannot be last.
Yeah.
You know like a lot of the teams are like trying to be first, and they're trying to
Right.
not be last. It seems like.
Right, but even to bring that up, like, and they're talking about who almost got eliminated, but
Dog is poking.
Bailey, it's okay, come on. You know, Raquel and Kayla decided to work with Penn and Kim. I mean, they decided to work with Penn and Kim because they wanted to overtake them, but then in the end, they didn't. So was it worth it to them? Like, I mean, I'm happy that Holderness was first, but
Yeah.
you know, I don't know if that was beneficial to them either. You don't work with a team thinking that you're going to overtake them because what if you don't?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the way they looked at it is like, hey, if we're, we want to be first, but if we're second, it's it's better than being last.
Yeah.
So they we can that's kind of makes more sense. But if you're second last or last, that doesn't really necessarily make much sense. And the way I see it too, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think working with another team can be beneficial. But like I said, I mean, you should do it like, hey, are we gonna follow each other, or what are we gonna do? You gotta kind of lay that out so nobody's getting offended or mad, because that could be a problem. With Kayla and them, they followed Penn and them, then they kind of went off on their own. And it's like, all right, well, are you gonna work together or are you not?
Yeah, you run ahead and everything. But at the same time, you can't assume that you're working with a team and that they're not going to try and beat you at it also.
Right, and then they did wait. So it's like, it's not like they were trying to, I mean, you got to kind of lay it out, yeah.
Yeah, say at the end of the day, the very last task, it's kind of every man for themselves at that point.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Get each other's teams to the last part, and then, do what you can.
Yeah.
But
no, I'm with you for sure. So they almost lost. They're not that strong.
not good at direction.
Not great direction. The self-driving hasn't been too good for them. And like I said, I mean, they're hanging in there, but they're just not. They're not that strong. They may again finish fourth, but I don't see them cracking the top three.
No, I don't think so.
Speaking of the top three, let's go ahead and talk about the power rankings this week, Jessica. And who is number 5? Obviously,
Arun and Natalia.
Yeah, they're still number 5. They're still the bottom team. They almost got eliminated again this week. Again, they survived. What else can you say?
Just that. I mean, like I said, everybody struggled with the last one. Besides that, I mean, they did struggle a little bit with the fish, the jelly down the stream, but just that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really impressed me. Obviously, they're not professional athletes or anything like that. They're doing their best, but they're just average people. They're just a father or daughter, and they're trying to do the race. And that's credit to them. They've gotten farther than maybe you would have expected.
Yeah.
They've happened to have every time they finish last, it's non-elimination, or COVID hits and they get to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is. There's not that strong, but again, they could maybe pass Lulu and Lala next week and not get eliminated.
Maybe.
But I think their days are definitely numbered.
Yeah.
What's next?
Lulu and Lala.
Yeah, Lulu and
4.
Lala. Number 4. Same thing. So what do you think of them?
Same situation. I mean, they're not athletic. They're in shape, but not athletic, and can't really run or anything. And direction, I think, with them as well, struggle a bit with that, and the self-driving. But so I wouldn't say that they're terrible, but they're just not. They're not able to overcome any teams that are usually ahead of them for the most part.
Yeah, they have their peak, and that's kind of where they're gonna stay. I think they've kind of already hit their highest.
They keep up, but they can't overtake the other teams unless they screw up.
Right. That's for sure. They run a very steady race, but they don't And when they have no there's been no U-turns and no fast forward, which really changes things a lot too.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any U-turns this year.
I don't think so either. And they probably would have teased it already, and that makes it difficult
and
too
it
to
would have
overtake
happened
somebody.
by now.
You would think, and it makes it more difficult to overtake a team when there's no U-turn. It's just very consistent, very steady. No fast forward. No of those extra wrinkles that really can take a team from the bottom to the top or from the top to the bottom. It just pretty much stays pretty status quo, which, it isn't the best. And I'm not going to the diversity part of it too much, but in the cast have been fine. They've been fun. They've been, they're a good, likable cast. But I think you could have, if you're not trying to check boxes, you can put on more competitive teams. I really think that Runa, Natalia, Lulu, and Lala, they've been fine, but do you really see them as a threat to win? I think you can replace those two teams with teams that are threats to win.
The problem is a lot of the teams that were competitive from before didn't come back.
That's true.
I don't think it's the casting part of it.
I agree.
It's the COVID part of it. It's that the teams didn't come back. If Ryan and Anthony, or if Anthony and Spencer were there, I mean, even Connie and Sam were there. They were competitive. They kept up with things too. I just think it's because they weren't there. So we had the really strong teams, and then a lot of the bad teams came back, and that's it.
Yeah, the teams that weren't as good came back. That's definitely true. And I don't necessarily think that. I agree. I don't necessarily think that, it's the casting, because they didn't expect these teams to have to come back and carry the season, and they did because of COVID, and then that's what.
I can see. I fully enjoyed the cast of this whole thing. Like, I liked all of them.
Yeah. So. No, there was nobody who was not unlikable than that. No, I agree. Let's go ahead and move on then to number 3. Unless you have anything else to add. Number 3.
Raquel and Kayla.
Yeah, the flight attendants. Why them?
I mean, they're strong. They're in the top 2 right now just because Ryan and Dusty fell behind previously. I mean, they caught up, but, they can hold their own right now. They're working with other teams to help get them further and not fall behind with tasks and everything, but they're strong. They don't struggle too much with things, but they do have some issues with directions once in a while. That's why they are working with other teams to find locations quicker.
Yeah.
That's why they've been consistently better at that.
And they're working with other teams, and it's so. And of course, they need the money because they are flight attendants, lost their jobs.
Listen, why do we need to start this conversation? Everybody you want to get me going? Everyone that lost their job during COVID made more money a week than I did.
Yeah,
okay? You don't need the $1 million. Don't tell me you blew all that money, because you guys made more on the unemployment than all of us did.
Yeah, and we know how much flight attendants make. So
I know. I personally know a flight attendant, obviously, and I mentioned it before, so I know. And they did not struggle during COVID.
They lost their jobs, but they made
Correct.
They made bank and unemployment. So
I mean, they literally, their company closed down and lost their job. Like, unlike them, which they cut down on flights and didn't, they were laid off. I know someone that lost their job fully because the company closed. So, yeah, they're fine.
Yeah, and obviously everybody needs the $1 million, but nobody needs $1 million.
Well, yeah, just don't tell me it's because of that, because we all know that everybody got all this money. So please don't tell me.
For sure. And the reason I think they're still third, even though they've finished second back-to-back weeks, I still don't take them that seriously, just because to me they are D'Angelo and what's his name from last season?
Gary
and D'Angelo from last season. They're in the alliance because they need the alliance. The alliance does not need them.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, I agree with that.
And so if it ever comes down to it, and like Penn and Kim are like, you know what, I'm sick of carrying these guys, get off my back, I think they're done. Or they won't be done necessarily with the whole quite farther back.
Well, right. And I get nervous because with Penn and Kim, when they're in first, and then the other team wants to work together, like, I get concerned because I know that they're faster than them. I mean, they're younger. Penn and Kim are in great shape as well, but they're a little older. They don't probably run all the time or whatever.
That's what Kim was saying too.
Yeah, I mean, Kim says, she's not a runner. But, I worry about that. I get nervous that they're going to follow them and do what they did tonight, except they did end up waiting for them. They ran ahead to eat the damn cheese, and then they could have just taken off and just been gone. Yeah. So
that's that's the thing. The alliance. If you need the alliance more than the alliance needs you, that's a problem. And if they said if Penn and Kim get off me, and they I could see them falling third or fourth, easily.
Yeah.
And I said they're still strong.
Yeah.
They're still a strong team. They're definitely the strongest female team that's there, but
Yeah, I just hope that the stronger or higher up team realizes that they need to stop helping each other. There comes a point where you can't work together anymore.
and like I said, the alliance this week was pretty much beneficial for both.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I guess the way I see it is Penn and Kim, you could have used the help this week with the challenge on the boat, and that was fine. They needed the help. I mean, they probably could have done without the help, but having the help was good.
Yeah, they could have.
That being said, if you take out Raquel and Kayla and insert any other team, the help is the same.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was good to have the help of the alliance, but you don't necessarily need that specific team in the alliance. You just needed another set of eyes to help you with the challenge.
Just to bounce it back, because
Right.
I mean,
And Penn memorized it all anyways.
Penn, yeah, like he mentioned in the first, I think it was the very first episode, that he's got that ADHD, but it comes into hyper focus, and he just focuses on whatever task he's doing. So I figure with them doing that one, they would have been fine either way. Alone, they would have been fine.
Probably. And listen, if you needed help, you didn't necessarily need Raquel and Kayla because they didn't bring anything extra.
Right.
Also, I did want to mention too with Penn and Kim, the fact that they didn't necessarily need anyone else's help. I think, like I said, the alliance is useful, but not necessarily as useful for both parties, I guess I can say.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to go into something else, but that's all. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Next, number 2.
Holderness.
Holderness.
Penn and Kim.
Yeah. Why are they here?
Well, I could see them being 2 or 1 at
Yeah.
this point now. I
Same.
think at this point they have proven that they're a strong team. Do I think they could have gotten here without Ryan and Dusty, falling behind and getting to where they are now? Maybe. I think they would have struggled because, like they said it right on the episode, how everybody just saw this brick wall with Ryan and Dusty. Their first, how do you get ahead of them and get past that wall? And they managed to, with help from the other team screwing up,
Right.
But they are focused. They are good with direction. I mean, freaking Penn remembers high school French, and
That's what I
he's
say.
47 years old, and he's got. They both have skills that have helped carry them through this game that other teams haven't had.
Right. That's the other thing I was going to mention too. Is
Yeah.
that Penn and Kim, they knew, or Penn I guess knows French from high
French
school.
from high school. It's like 30
So,
years ago.
Yeah, so he was able to use that as well. That's another weird little skill that he had.
Right.
I said I will go on the line and say if they win next leg, they're 1.
Yeah.
I mean they may be peaking at the right time. It's just it's pretty much a 1 and 1A at this point for me.
Yeah.
And then there's a number 2 or I guess 3, which is solid, and everybody else was below them, and that's kind of how it is for me. But yeah, for sure, I agree.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, they're hilarious. They
They're
are very entertaining.
Very.
Sometimes I don't want them to celebrate and just run
Yeah.
to do the next thing. Like, you're funny, but just go. I want to see you as number 1 team. So
Yeah, for sure. And then they got to the thing. Oh, this is really beautiful. We couldn't really look at it while we were running
yeah,
there.
exactly. All the sweat marks on his shirt, that made me laugh. But I would have been even worse. So it doesn't matter. It's just funny.
Oh, me too, for sure. And then finally, number 1.
Ryan and Dusty.
Still number 1. Again, I think they're just the strongest team overall. They can overcome more because they just are a strong team.
They can plow through things like bulls, run like bulls, but in the end, they're strong, but they still haven't been able to overcome what spot they're in right now.
Right.
They're consistently where they are, but, the other teams ahead of them are very good, so it's harder for them to actually get back into the lead.
No, I agree, and I think if there's something with a lot of finesse or whatever, they could definitely have struggles, which they have.
Yeah, I mean, the last one is part especially. I mean, everybody struggled, but between either of them, I didn't, both of them are going to struggle hard. And he did for a little while and finally got the task. But I mean, I also kind of predict that the remaining episodes of the show, there's going to be a lot more of a detail-oriented, like, skill thing like that. I mean, look at, what was it, either last season or a couple seasons ago where they had to do that tile making.
Yeah.
And the one team just would not watch it till the end to see how you get it off in one piece. You know, it's going to be a lot more of that stuff coming up because that, you know, that's always the equalizer for everybody is to see who can get through that successfully.
Yeah, attention to detail, patience. You know, that's not necessarily their strong suit, but just picking things up, putting them down is their strong suit, you know.
I know. And eventually I kind of cut back, I think, on that stuff.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think, you know, they you know, there's not going to be just a lot of challenges that are just straightforward bull rushing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I still think they're number one, but they're definitely, you know, it's slipping. And I can see Penn and Kim overtaking them. I can even see Kayla and them overtaking them. I don't necessarily think they'd fall down to third, but, you know, it's tight right now, for sure.
Yeah, I still judge it as who can overcome it better. I mean, they overcame the water and tipping over the kayak pretty quickly. Could I have seen the girls doing it as fast? Probably not. I think they would have struggled a little bit more.
So it will depend on the tasks going forward, but I think right now they're still number one because they haven't really been overtaken per se, because they finished they were last and they finished and then they finished third within that same leg, and then they haven't really moved since then. Yeah. They haven't jumped up. They also haven't fallen back yet. So it's this leg was kind of a continuation of the previous leg almost because it was so close.
I mean, really. The guys are beating the worser teams, if you want to put it that way. So they're number one in the bottom of the teams.
Right, for sure. So I can see it going the way I said. I'm not ready to put them down a second yet. I'm not really ready to put Penn and Kim up the first yet. But I could, I said if Penn and Kim win next week and it's the third in a row, I'll be ready to call them number one. And then especially Ryan and Dusty, finish lower than third, they'll definitely be out of the top one spot.
Yeah. I mean, you want to call top three, it's going to be Ryan and Dusty, Holderness, and Flight Attendants.
I agree.
In the N3.
I agree. Again, anything can happen.
I know. If not, it's going to be shocking, but, that's a trajectory at this point.
No, for sure. I said it. And if there's no U-turn, no, whatever, fast forward, anything like that, then it's going to be really difficult to see any. But, that's what these bottom teams need. That's what the underdog teams need. Is they need, U-turns and those little advantages. It's like playing Survivor without a immunity idol. Or without a steal vote.
Oh, let's not even talk about the immunity idol because who used one last year? Absolutely nobody.
Right.
So it didn't matter.
Well, right, but it's like saying it's
possible.
But advantages, though. I'm saying it's like if you're struggling, you're on the bottom, you're in rough shape.
You're looking
using
for
the
a
advantage
boost of some sort,
right.
And I don't see anything coming.
Yeah, it seems like a very generic season, which sucks because I like the class.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna ask do you think, or can you tell, I guess, the difference between this seasons and others due to, the COVID restriction stuff with them? I feel like the tasks they're picking are limited because everything the past couple episodes have seemed so easy to me. It didn't seem like too much of a struggle. Where, I know there's a lot of episodes that they do stuff like that, but it just feels like it's not getting any harder. It's kind of staying par for the course. Yeah,
there's not a lot of other people around. Not a lot of, you haven't seen them on a plane yet or anything like that, or even a busy train.
Well, yeah, we don't see the traveling part of it, which is fine. It just doesn't seem like, I guess, like you said, not a lot of people around. They're picking a lot more reclusive locations that they're limited to what they're doing, I guess.
Yeah, less traveling and less and they're doing a lot of tests that you don't need a crowd. There's no running through a crowd of people to get this stuff. Yeah, there's really not.
Not a ton, but there was some because they did the wine and all that stuff.
Yeah, going through the town, but they weren't in a crowd. There was other people
they're
around.
They're not in major cities.
Yeah,
they're definitely outside of all that stuff. But yeah, you can kind of tell the difference of the season.
It's not that obvious, but you can definitely tell.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
If you didn't know it was filming during COVID, you'd be like, you maybe wouldn't tell, maybe you couldn't tell, but you'd feel something was off probably.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that that's filming during COVID, you can definitely tell.
I know it was during COVID, but I can also feel how it's off at the same time.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Cool. I think that's a good place to leave it for now. I think, right? Anything else to add
No, I don't think so.
for the cat tour of the house?
Yeah, I don't know what she's in right now.
Cool. Well, be sure to subscribe to Miss Anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Pavement Road Productions. You can email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Like I said, subscribe, share the post, tell your friends. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of the show. And we'll be back next week, right?
Right.
Until next time, stay traveling.